For ACUsports.com, I'm Grant Boone, talking some men's hoops here with head coach Joe Golding as his team gets ready to take on a couple of stalwarts in the Southland Conference, Stephen F. Austin and Northwestern State. Coach, as you think about that two-step that you're going to go through in Nacogdoches and Natchitoches, Louisiana, I don't know that a lot of power conference teams would want to go through those teams twice in 48 hours, would they?
No. I haven't seen Northwestern State on tape. I've seen them when I was looking at Sam Houston State, but Stephen F. Austin is really, really good. And obviously Northwestern State was picked to win the league. They won the league last year, won the tournament last year, and I think they struggled a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, early in this conversation, but it seems to think that they've turned the page and they're playing really well right now. So it's going to be a tough stretch. It's two tough ball games. And the neat thing about this, Grant, the last couple of weeks we've seen Oral Roberts, Sam. Now we're going to see SFA and Northwestern State, and those are the four big ones right now this year. And so we're getting a taste of what it takes to compete in the Southland and what we need to do to get better.
Northwestern State coming off a good win against ORU up there on the road last week. Let's talk about Stephen F. Austin. Danny Casper goes to Texas State. You called your biggest recruit of the season Brett Tanner, who comes over after 7 years as an assistant at Stephen F. And yet, with all those changes, here they are, having won 15 consecutive games or so, 18-2. They are really rolling. One of their only losses is to Texas, which is having a tremendous season under Rick Barnes. If it's not hard enough already, they win every game at home, it seems like. I think 26 consecutive games. They continue to play really, really good defense. What is it about them that allows them to play so well defensively?
You got Coach Casper, who's probably one of the best defensive coaches in the country that these guys learned under. And then now, obviously, Coach Underwood came from Frank Martin in South Carolina State the last 6 years and was at Kansas State with them. And those guys are tough and they defend. So it was probably an easy transition for those guys with Coach Underwood. And Coach Underwood's done a great job. He's done some different things offensively than they did with Coach Casper, and it fits their personnel perfect. They run it really, really well. More importantly, they just have a group of guys that won last year. They won the league. They're all back, and they didn't win the tournament. They got a chip on their shoulder. They got something to prove, and they play that way. They're very unselfish. I think they have one of the best assist-to-turnover ratios in the country. They give you one shot on the other end, and that's a winning formula. They don't play a lot of guys, a ton of minutes. They really play six guys a lot of minutes, but they're so smart. They've played together so long. They know each other. They got a very, very good basketball team.
Stephen F. is, I think, top 10 in the nation in turnover margin. Northwestern State's 8th in the nation in steals, and you're playing again without your two top ball handlers. I would imagine, as it is all the time, you say it before every game, but protecting the basketball is paramount importance this week, isn't it?
It's going to be big time important, and we got to do a better job of that. We keep putting it as a point of emphasis in practice. It's just tough when you lose those guys, that were your primary ball handlers. Now you have other guys handling it that haven't handled it before, and people are exposing that, which they're doing their job as coaches and knowing what we have, and we've got to get better. We turned the ball over 10 times the first half against Sam Houston State. We're averaging, I think, almost 18 turnovers since we've lost those two guys, and we got to do better. The good news is the second half against Sam Houston, we only turned it over 6 times. So hopefully that's moving in the right direction. And obviously both these teams present problems. SFA really gets up in the passing lanes, and they're a very tough team. They don't allow you to get the ball entered into your offense. And then Northwestern State obviously does it a different way by pressing and running and jumping and throwing different presses and getting the game going fast. So we're going to have to be ready for both.
Last thing, how hard is it to prepare for 2 games in 48 hours, one against a team that is so stingy defensively and another team in Northwestern State that runs and guns and I think still 3rd in the nation in scoring?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, it's 2 completely different games, but we're going to have to do our best to get ready for it and come up with a game plan. I remember Coach Tanner mentioned something to me early in the start of conference, how it was always great that Stephen F. traveled with Northwestern State because, the second game, Northwestern State would wear people out on Thursday night, and then they would get them on Saturday. And then vice versa. They were such different teams even in the past years with Coach Casper and Tanner being at Stephen F. Austin. Now with Coach Underwood, they're just 2 different teams, and it's hard to prepare for both of those in such a short time period. So we'll give it our best shot, and obviously we got nothing to lose. We're going to go out there and compete and see what happens.
Short-handed Wildcats continue to fight, and they'll take that fight on the road to Nacogdoches, Texas for that 8 p.m. tip-off against Stephen F. Austin, then 2 days later at Northwestern State this week, and you can follow it all here on ACUsports.com. For Coach Joe Golding, I'm Grant Boone.